All right, welcome CvCISO Podcast listeners. I got the name of the podcast correct this time. This is episode 37 of the CvCISO Podcast. Joining me as usual is Jordan and Meg. Hi, guys.
Hi, Guy.
Hi, Guy. Hi, it's good to talk to you. All right. This week is Meg's show, and Meg's got some special guests to introduce. Meg, you want to go ahead?
I do. So last week, we did a recap of the CvCISO program for kind of a year in review of 2024. And we wanted to do the same thing with the Minnesota local chapter. So who we have with us this week is the leadership team for the Minnesota local chapter. We have Dan Ovid, who's the president. Yay.
Raise your hand, Dan.
Raise your hand. Do we let him speak?
Jordan? Am I getting that right? Jordan, you're vice president?
That's right. Vice, baby.
Yeah. Gotcha. And Jim, just tell me what your role is in the leadership team.
I'm the pretty face.
Jim, what would you say you do here?
We're that well.
My role is more of a, I don't know. It's on paper more than anything. I don't even remember what it is. Some about membership engagement and recruiting. So if any of you want to be a part of the group, just let Dan know.
And Jim, I didn't want to discount either. You do have a beautiful face, so yeah. Thanks for bringing that here today.
Hey, anything for you, buddy.
And Tim, I believe Tim Huffer's with us as well, and I believe you do like the treasurer kind of thing.
Supposed to be the money guy, yeah.
The money guy.
Right now it's pseudo Jordan as the money guy, but thank you for having me here, guys.
Because I don't like to delegate. I'm a control freak, so he keeps asking.
Yeah.
For the
so I just have to keep making food, and they'll show up.
Hey, that's the first step to recovery is acknowledging your flaws.
Acknowledging you have food.
So, Jordan, next meeting, are you actually going to let us join you in the conference room to be part of the local Minnesota chapter meeting?
I'll think about it.
Did you lock him out again?
Well, there's a lot of food, but I can eat a lot, so I don't want them in there like eating all the food.
Once the food's gone, then he lets us in.
Right.
And
then as you heard, he took my glassware and all the food, so we didn't have anything to eat.
So proud of you right now, Jordan.
Well, seriously though, there was a moment where you were kind of being so generous, and you're like, "Oh, do you want to take some of these leftovers?" And I was like, "Yeah." And for a second, I thought you were like, "Oh man, I didn't think he'd actually say yes."
No, I always bring food to you guys to take it, right? I don't want to take it home because then I got to eat it.
Yeah. I try not to say no anymore. I used to be one of those people, and I see others where it's like someone tries to be generous, tries to give them something, and they're, "Oh no, I could." Like I kind of try to just say yes to everything.
I always say yes. We're IT guys. We eat anything, right?
When I was
in
young,
the break room, it's gone.
a mother of one of my friends told me shy people are hungry people, and I've taken the pig slice ever since. And the pig slice is the last piece of pizza, by the way.
Yeah. It's funny.
I'm not afraid to take that last piece of pizza either. I'll wrestle you for it.
Yeah.
I know most people in Minnesota are like that too. It'll sit there for like 20 minutes.
Oh, that piece gets cold and lonely. Yeah. Take it.
Yeah. It's not going to eat itself, no matter how much we sit here and watch it.
Especially when you leave like a very little amount. Like sometimes you're like, you're eating the food and it's like, I'll take a little bit more. And then you leave there's not even enough for one person to have it. And you just had to leave a little bit because you didn't want to be the one who ate it all.
Yeah. Kids do that with the stuff in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Empty boxes in the cabinets.
Oh yeah.
Containers in the refrigerator.
Yeah. You're like, oh, there's my thing that I really wanted. You take it out, you open it up. You're like, who the hell did this? And now my kids, I think all the kids learned early that that's not acceptable. If it was something that I wanted, because I would close the fridge, go to their bedroom, wouldn't knock, open the door, throw it on their bed. What the hell is this? Then you do that once, maybe twice, and yeah, they get the picture. Like, that's not acceptable. Oh, you could have eaten it all, but finish it, throw it away and tell me that we need more of it rather than just like this lazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of people do information security. It's kind of this lazy, half-assed approach.
Good segue.
Thank you. I do this for a living, basically, sometimes.
So, Dan, you want to start us off and kind of give us a snapshot view of what's been going on with Minnesota chapter and
I can definitely do
Well,
that. Yeah, for sure. So we've been doing the Minnesota local chapter meetings now for 6 or 7 months, and Jordan's been kind enough to host the meetings at his Top Dog PC office location. So I'm super appreciative of that, because it'd be a lot more difficult if we had to meet up in, like a restaurant or bar or something like that, where it's really noisy and everything else. We're able to really come together and just have a lot of conversations. On average, I think we have between 8 and 10 people. I think in the month of October, we had up to 12 people joining. So that was really cool to just get a few new faces in there so that they can kind of see what it is that we do, and just be able to kind of meet some other folks from the CvCISO program. One of the big things that we've started doing is pretty much every week we kick off the local chapter meetings with a kind of like a roundtable check-in, mental health check-in, seeing how everybody's doing. Everybody's life's going okay. One of the things that we really try to make the local chapter meetings is more intimate, more personal, instead of just coming to talk about information security, just talking about what everybody's doing at work. It's checking and seeing what is everybody doing at home, how's everybody's lives going, how are people's spouses, kids, and all of that thing, how is that going? And then we kind of follow that up. We continue just going around the table. Well, what projects are people working on? Are there any projects that people need help with? That's kind of where the value of the local chapter meetings, what we're trying to add value for each other, is how can we help each other? Everybody has different skill sets. Everybody has different experiences. So being able to share that with the group is becoming very, very valuable. There's been a lot of times where people are going around, they're saying that they're working on with a specific client or working on a specific project, and they just don't really, they've never had this experience before. They've never gone through this before. And then that's when it's really cool to see somebody else raise their hand and say, hey, I've actually done that before. What questions do you have, or how can I help? So that's been really cool to kind of see that just grow the community in that aspect. We also then try to each meeting cover a specific topic. I know Tim has covered a lot with some of the different AI stuff that his company has built. Jordan covered a lot with the CMMC readiness assessments that he's been doing. We've had a couple other miscellaneous topics that we've talked about, such as like vulnerability management or third-party risk, and just going through kind of what everybody does in those different scenarios and how that works out. So, and then one of the other things that I was going to add to that we've been doing is just sharing resources, trying to help grow everybody's arsenal of whether it's tools or just online resources for learning, things like that, sharing that, and just, again, expanding the capabilities that everybody has and just growing the local chapter meetings. I don't know if
That's
anybody
awesome.
else, Jordan, Jim, Tim, you guys have anything else to add?
Yeah, that was a good recap, and I think that one impact that happens by kind of getting comfortable with each other in all those areas is that a couple times it's come up that what others want is the ability to kind of have this group of people that share the same philosophies on information security, kind of understand kind of how to approach it, and be able to share with their clients, and even like when they're approaching a prospect, kind of talking through their services, being able to say that you have a group of people, like it's not just you. If they find that they don't get along on a personal level or something, that there's other people in a community that can still do the same work and continue the same work, and that they're not just in a silo. They're not just some person that is just doing things by themselves. They have a group of peers that help keep them accountable, help make them better. Like that's a really big thing, I think.
That's cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I kind of look at it like for instance, the Discord, area, or the group there is kind of like an ongoing family reunion where we're all kind of the same, we're all kin of so to speak. But the chapter meetings are more like family dinner, where it's these are your immediate family, and you tend to say things and open up more to this group than you would online, and you tend to get a lot more response and a lot better, more personal response. And like Jordan alluded to, if I've seen it, like I have this issue and I don't know how to deal with it, and there's like 3 people that have done that exact thing, and they can talk to you quite frankly right there and give you ideas, and hey, call me call me next week and we can really, get through this. So yeah,
That's cool.
and there's other levels too, even, we do, I can speak for experience. We do a mental, kind of health check, right? How you guys doing really? I mean, how you really doing? Rather than giving the old, yeah, I'm fine. Let's just move on. You get the, what, I actually am struggling this week, right? And people will lean into that and really like, hey, how, let's talk about that. And that's huge. That's huge. So yeah, it's great.
That's awesome.
So it's the most important aspect, I think, of what we do as a community, right? I think I told you guys last time we met, right? Often in our industry, we've all been here a long time. There's a lot of posturing. There's a lot of, you got to do things this way. I've avoided groups for a long time because there's always that guy that wants you to do it his way. Listen to him. You can't say anything. There's no sense of community. Where here, I was pretty open with you guys as we get to know each other, because I haven't known you guys all that long in my life or my career. That mental health check, it takes the barriers down. When you have a bunch of good dudes sitting around, you feel like you're part of something. And I think that's what this was all about, Meg and Evan, when you guys started this, right, was have a community where people generally care.
Yeah.
And I know I'm kind of overstating that, but I feel like I'm getting to know these guys better each and every month that we meet, and breaking that barrier down and just being yourself. That's who we want everybody to be, right? I don't want you to put this suit on and say that you're this person. I mean, we've all had a bunch of that nonsense in our careers where you have to try to be something else, but I've never done that. I've just been myself the whole time throughout my career, and I see that with all of you guys here.
That's awesome.
That's really
It's funny. It's funny because I think it was last time we met. Like, we have this agenda that we follow because we want to keep it structured. We don't want it to go off the rails. And people have felt comfortable even chiming in, kind of saying, hey, I think we're kind of going off track here. Can we get back to the agenda? And it's cool when people feel comfortable enough to just say that. But you do start second guessing yourself too, because you want the meeting to be valuable for everyone, and the more people that are there, the harder it is to kind of keep a pulse on that. But what was interesting is, I think we kind of, we had Ryan. Ryan was kind of a surprise guest at the last one. Ryan Cloutier. I never pronounce his name. Cloutier. Cloutier.
Stop you're being all Frenchy.
I think it's French, isn't it?
No, it's Cloutier.
Cloutier. Okay.
Right.
But we started talking about these topics that were really interesting, right? And so it's almost like, I know in my head I was kind of thinking, okay, people must really like this. Like this is, and I think it was you, Tim, that at one point said, hey, I think we haven't done the mental health check-in yet, guys, and kind of brought us back on track. Because it's almost like you think, well, we can just kind of skip that today because we're on a track of something that seems kind of interesting. But sure enough, it's like, I think getting back to that, like people need that, I guess is my point, is like, you kind of, wait, we can't skip over this mental health pulse real quick.
What I think is really cool about all that is, Evan, I'm going to give you props because I think that you lead an example in that area of mental health check-ins, building relationships. And it's kind of cool to see that is like transferring into the local chapter, which is really, really cool.
Well, thanks. I mean, yeah, you do the best work when you're healthy, and it's crazy how when I say we, I throw myself into that too, where you forget sometimes to maintain your health, right? The physical health, mental health, spiritual health. And the better you are there, because you find that when you're transparent, then you can feel comfortable asking questions, getting real answers. When you're in this posturing environment and people aren't being real, you don't feel comfortable asking a question because you don't want to look like you're stupid. So I love the fact that you guys have taken that and made that front and center. I think it's a great place to start, and get grounded. So kudos to you guys. That's
What would you guys
thank
say
you.
was your biggest accomplishment for 2024?
I would say just getting a regular group of people that show up consistently. I mean, like I said, I think on average we have 8 to 10 people, and most of them are folks that show up most every month, right? Every once in a while, somebody has something come up, or as we're getting into the winter months, maybe there's a snowstorm on the horizon or something like that. Some people may not end up showing up for that, right? Understandably so. But I would say just getting a group of people consistently together, having a set agenda every month, it is really cool. Kind of the overall goal of this when we started was basically as a pilot of, hey, how can we build a local chapter here in Minnesota that can then be spread throughout other states or, even the country, right? Or, across the world. And so that I would say is one of our bigger accomplishments, is just being able to consistently every single month meet and be able to keep this going is what sticks out in my mind.
That's another thing that's super cool too about the way you guys have done this. And this is what I was hoping for when you guys, because you guys, maybe Meg, you came up with the idea to do these local chapters. And, the last thing, I just know that over my career, I've definitely broken more things than I've, fixed. And so I didn't really want to get involved too much with what you guys decided to do with this local chapter. What I was looking for was organic, real, something that's different than you get in other communities. I'm not ripping on ISSA or ISC squared. There's all kinds of different communities that serve different purposes, right? But what's going to make this community unique? And what's made it unique is this transparency, this authenticity, which, we all need it, right? Where am I going to get that? Some of us get it, various sources. But I think another thing that's super cool about this is when you do get authentic and you do get real and you do invest in the relationships, you notice when somebody's not there.
Yeah.
It's never been a fear really of mine, but I think I've heard other people have this fear, like if I didn't show up, nobody would even care. Nobody would even know. And what a shitty place to feel, And I think what you guys are building, this organic community where, we notice if somebody's not here. And somebody might reach out and say, hey, you all right, man? Are you all right, sister? Do you say that about ladies, sisters?
So
Meg, if you didn't show, what I say, mom? Yeah, she's kind of my work mom. Everybody needs a work mom. No, but I love that. I love the fact that you guys, because it's that same sort of organic thing that will work in other parts of the world. And I knew that I'm ADHD, so I wouldn't commit very well anyway, but I just, when you want something to be authentic, let the people that are involved make it theirs. And then we'll take those good things that we learned, create, because I know we struggled a little bit this year with, what are the procedures? What's the formal stuff? And I don't want to do the formal stuff until we're ready to do the formal stuff. I want it to be this authentic, and then let's formalize the authentic thing. And I still don't know what that is, but I'm looking forward to 2025. And you guys are like guinea pigs.
Yeah, we like being guinea pigs. And I think that's part of what's helping us out is we enjoy the process. And I think I'm speaking personally, but I think I speak for the guys when I say we're enjoying the exploration of what it's going to take to make this work. And Dan had talked about, the accomplishments of 24 and, just having a working agenda that's kind of a template. It's not really so much like we could show up without an official agenda and still make it work because we have a template, because we talk about this first, we talk about that next, and when we kind of roll into this. And so far I think I'm looking forward to 25 as well to see how we can make that better, how we can really make it almost so we don't even need a piece of paper ever. We just know that this is the process,
Yeah.
and because that means it's repeatable.
And I think one of the ways to make this grow and duplicate to other chapters is, I think the agenda is a part of that. You want a predictable kind of thing, a timeline. People get frustrated when you go on. Sometimes people love tangents, and you're just kind of like, yeah, I could just shoot the breeze all day with these folks. But then some people, it's like, yeah, but we didn't get to the thing that I wanted to get to. I'm hoping I was really needing a check-in, a mental health check-in today, or I really am struggling with this project, and we talked about AI all day. So there are people, when you have an agenda, you have people that can predict, and it can be any agenda. It's like ours is good, but it's also because we kind of talked about it at the beginning, and so I think, getting back to my point, to make chapters successful going forward is also that they're not necessarily robotic, and you're not duplicating an exact copy of this meeting. It's bringing people together that agree on what the point of the group is.
Yeah.
And I think that was significant early on, is that we were kind of like, what's the purpose of us getting together? What do people want to get out of this? And when you have a group of people where that's the common thing, then you have the agenda, then it is. So if another chapter opened up somewhere, they wouldn't have to do it exactly like us. They just need to establish, what is the point of this chapter? What do we want to be open with our resources and really a peer group type of a thing, sharing stuff, getting help from each other? Or do we want it to be more educational and I just want someone to, we just want to come talk about the latest news and whatever, it doesn't have to be the same.
Yeah.
But to Evan's point, getting to a place of authenticity, that this is what the group is, and this is how we do the meetings. And then I think we learned that, I brought up before, we've ordered pizza and stuff, but then a couple times we've done a little potluck thing, and there's just something really fun about that. There's something about just breaking bread together, trying someone's recipe, there's something about that brings you together in a way that's different than just eating pizza, that you ordered.
So when you
Yeah,
guys, I'm curious, do you guys cook the food, or do your significant others make the dish?
no, I make all my own stuff.
You do?
Yep.
Same.
Look at
And
you.
I think that's the family dinner aspect that Jim was mentioning, right? It changes the dynamic a little bit for the authenticity of our group, right? Because you see people take the time and care to, Dan made brisket, for crying out loud. That's not an easy thing to do. When people put that time and effort for the group, it's more than a group of people. I'm going to get back to that community thing, right? And we have dirt roads, Jordan was mentioning. There's a dirt road, there's an alleyway that we tend to veer off, but as long as somebody keeps us, on track, the conversation becomes more than a rigid agenda. It becomes like, well, hey, Jim has this thing he's working on. It creates this whole side conversation. We do bring it back, but that's how you get to know the person and what we can help you with as a community. We're not all experts in what we do. We raise our hand and say, you know what? I don't know how to do that damn thing. Somebody help me out here. And I did that with the group, right? There was a project that I was working on, no clue, but the guys helped me out. That's what that's for. I don't have all the right answers and the expertise, but it gave me enough information for a list to go out and look where I need to look.
When
Nice.
So you had mentioned the tangents as well. I think there's been a handful of times where a tangent, we start going on a tangent, and a couple people are kind of chatting back and forth about a certain topic. I think one that comes to mind for me was education for either like K through 12 or just even like the seniors in our communities, right? How are we doing outreach to these communities that oftentimes get overlooked when you talk about security awareness or just security best practices or security hygiene in people's personal lives? And so we had started talking about that at one of our meetings, and it kind of became apparent that there was a handful of people that were really passionate about that. And this is still on me to continue moving this forward and make this happen. But, there's a handful of us agreed that, hey, let's take this offline, or let's have a separate meeting about this topic and let's see what we can do, right? And so instead of just, putting the kibosh on it or saying, hey, let's try to stick to the agenda, there's these opportunities of, again, having that organic, like-minded group of people where we can say, hey, that's something that these 2 people want to go work on, or these 3 people want to go and work on, and see what we can do from there. So just another aspect, again, of the local chapter that's really cool.
Yeah, spin off, right? That growth, right? Then we decided, sorry, Evan, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
No, go ahead.
Dan, that was a huge part of one of our meetings just recently, where we finally came to a consensus that this isn't going to get solved with 8 to 12 people here. This is going to be solved with like 2 or 3 people off the side. But again, that's a component of this community, right? Where people raise their hand, like, okay, the 2 of you go do that thing, right? But it grew within the community.
Yeah, I love the fact that you guys are doing it this way, because it's also, when you're authentic and you're real like this, if I were a member of this community, it's okay if we didn't get to my shit at this meeting. I feel comfortable enough with these other guys, these other ladies, these other people here, that I can pick up the phone after the meeting, or I can, have a meeting outside of the meeting, to solve whatever issue or problem I had, because then you just give each other this margin, right? To like, just be yourself. And if we didn't get to everything in the meeting today, it's just another awesome excuse for us to meet again. I mean, you want this community, where like, I want to meet again. I don't go to these meetings like, shit, it's time for the chapter meeting again. That's not the kind of community you want.
Yeah,
Right.
we've never run out of topics or things to talk about. So and like I said, that we've been going on for like 7 months now. So there's always a topic at hand to bring up and discuss with the group. So
We've been going on for 7 months.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I love this too, because I don't know if you guys, if for people that have spouses or things, like I have everybody, it doesn't matter how big and tough you are, how mean you are, however you portray yourself, everybody needs support, right? Places where I run for help, right? And whether it's your spouse, family, community, friends, whatever it is, you got to have that support structure. And I know that with my own, because mine is my wife, I always run to her, and she's small, but man, she's tough. But one of the struggles I have with even my wife being that is she doesn't understand what it's like to be me. She doesn't understand what it's like to struggle with, certain security things that I might be trying to solve, business things, whatever. And I would never expect her to, right? But if I had a community like this, where I can explain a security problem that's really driving me fucking crazy right now, and somebody gets it, like, yeah, I get that. You know what I mean? So it should be part of your support structure, because we'd spend so much damn time at work. My wife can't solve that for me. I know she wants to, and she, and so what do I do with that? It's either discard it, like, okay, I'm struggling with this work thing, and I don't know, maybe I'll just try to navigate it myself, maybe reach out to some of my peers and see if they've run into this before. But, having a community that I can kind of blend this, my own personal life with boundaries. Everybody's got their own boundaries with how that fits with work. I mean, that's super valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the last thing we want to do is
it would make less rings on my eyes.
I think the last thing we want to do is feel like this is another freaking job for you to come to, right, at nighttime for, spend 2.5, 3 hours with a bunch of dudes and feel like, oh crap, this is just another one of those stupid conferences I paid for, right? It's that wasn't the intention of this. I don't think for us we see it in that way at all, because speaking for myself, and I hope the rest of you guys, I generally look forward to that monthly meeting with you guys, because I think that we continue to grow as a group and friends and colleagues, just alike. So for me, it's more than that, right? I really feel like this is going to be a great community, and if we can grow this, statewide, nationwide, global wide, eventually, it'd be great to see that there's other groups out there doing the same thing we're doing.
I've been talking with Elon. We're going to put one of these on Mars too. So it's going to end up being solar system wide. I think we're striving for that. Yeah.
But
And that one out.
For me, like continuing down that path, Tim, of like wanting to attend it, for me, maybe other folks are like me, but it has to be fun. It has to be enjoyable. There has to be fun, laughing, enjoyment to it. It's not just a work thing, but it also has to be. It has to sharpen me as a professional, as a person. It has to, like, it can't be just about fun for me. So it's like that two-edged sword of, it has to be super enjoyable and fun. I want to be there because it's refreshing, but I also need it to sharpen me. It has to be making me better, and I have to be helping make others better.
It reminds me of the for people that, the listeners who don't know what we do prior to hitting the record button on this. I mean, we spend a lot of time just nonsense, just doing, or I do anyway, because I'm an idiot. Yeah, because I'm an idiot like that. But that's the reason why I want to come here on Fridays. Two things that I don't need. I don't need more work. I don't need more obligations. What I do need is more real, conversations with people that I care about, like getting things off my chest where I can feel comfortable talking about weird shit. It's just in my brain. It's not, yeah, it's weird, but it's just now I don't have to talk about it anymore, except for I will go talk to my wife about it just because it's fun to give her shit about things. Speaking about giving her shit about things, Jordan, I told you what I did with her phone, right?
Yeah.
Did you try that yet?
I didn't yet. No.
You should do it.
It's on my to-do list.
What? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No,
The others?
No.
You didn't listen to the InfoSec to Insanity podcast on the day after Christmas?
That's okay. I didn't expect you to. I didn't listen to it either. But
so much good stuff on there.
So have you guys ever messed around with shortcuts on your iPhones? So one of the shortcuts I set up was an automation that every time my wife plugged her phone into power, it would say something inappropriate.
Are you censoring yourself on this podcast?
Yeah, go to InfoSec Insanity if you want to know the actual words that I made it say. So yeah, we go to bed. So the next morning, we go to bed, or the next night, whatever, we go to bed and she plugs her phone in and it says this inappropriate thing. And she's like, what was that? And I'm like, what was what? She goes, my phone just said something. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like, what did you do? She said, I just plugged it in. Huh. Plug it in again. She plugs it in again. And then she heard what it actually said. So the first time it was like, what the hell? So she heard it. She's like, what'd you do to my damn phone? Like, yeah. And that's something you don't need any coding skills to play with that one. But yeah, every time she
write that down as a topic, Dan, for our next meeting. We should make sure to teach everyone how to use that.
How to use the iPhone shortcuts. Got it.
Yeah, for an automation, just so many cool things you can do with that.
That's funny.
I don't know how we got to talking about that. No, I love this. I love this fact that we get to talk to each other and be real.
Yeah.
We don't use titles. Sometimes people set up a meeting with me, be like, oh my God, thanks for taking time out to talk with me. Like, yeah, why? Well, you must be busy. Yeah, I'm fucking busy, but so what? We put each other on this, like, these pedestals, these layers, it's all this posturing bullshit. And at the end of the day, we're just people. And we're just people here that are trying to do the best job we can to serve other people. This is a service industry. It's not a product industry. So until we get that straight, this group gets that straight, I love it. Because we serve each other, we serve others, man.
And that looks different for everybody else too. How one person might serve the industry is going to be completely different than how another person does it. And, it all, again, the plug for the local chapter is we get a lot of people that have a lot of different skill sets and a lot of different reasons as far as why they're in the industry. And, we can all come together and work towards a similar goal, just from different aspects.
Right.
It's just really valuable.
Yeah, that's why have like my preference. Evan, you talked about these people can if they want to talk about a certain topic, they can talk about it in between meetings. My approach is I would rather not that happen. I mean, sure, it can happen, but I learn a lot from just two people talking about something I'm not working on right now. I don't even know when I'll need this information, but to just be a fly on the wall and hear two people solve a problem that I didn't have yet is super valuable.
That's cool.
Perspectives, man. Perspectives are so, sorry, Meg, I walked on you again. Perspectives are so important. They're critical. I don't know what it's like to walk in, your shoes, Jordan. I don't know what it's, but we do have common things. It's these common things that hold the community together. But when you share your perspective, when Timothy shares his perspective, when Meg shares her perspective, it's like all those things are like nuggets that help my understanding of the world be that much clearer. Then I realized that oh shit, I'm not the only guy struggling with this, or shit, I saw this completely wrong. I didn't understand. I never saw it from that angle. All those things, by the way, not only improve your life, but they improve your performance on the job, right? The worst risk decisions I've ever made are the ones with shitty context. Why did I have shitty context? Because I didn't understand enough perspective. You know what I mean? I was looking at this. I was very myopic. I didn't see oh God, I didn't think if I make this change, sales guy's not going to make his number this month. That I can understand why he's going to be really pissed off about this password change, So it's, I love it because you can't, today, the way the world works, you cannot separate information security from life. There's a blend here, and this, when you're real and you're authentic like this, you're exploring those connections, those perspectives. So yeah, it's flipping amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's how we just get better for ourselves too, right? Just kind of as being a VC. So in the studies or research that I've been doing over the last year and a half, now 2 years for being a VC. So it's all about that, building relationships with other people, understanding their perspectives, getting context about a situation, and then being able to make those good risk decisions. And it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. And the more you engage with others, the better you can be in that.
Dan, has anyone ever told you you're really squared away for a 24-year-old?
This is a mom talking right now.
Yes, maybe.
Well, you are.
What do you mean by squared away? What does that mean?
Well, he's just.
Dan, are you open for adoption?
Together. I mean, you guys might see a different side when you meet together, but.
No,
Dan's going to be definitely on the rise throughout his career. I mean, to see a young dude so 24 years old and doing what he's doing, sky's the limit for Dan, and I think he's going to have a ton of success doing. I'll speak for myself. The rest of us are old, right? We're in our 50s. We've been drugged through the mud already,
bro. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, we got a lot of miles on us, Evan.
Yeah.
On us. I was under the tire.
Me and Jordan, we're just pups.
Yeah. But I love that part too, because I don't know if you guys have, I think various people have led various teams from various places, whatever. But I've always looked at people as my children. It's the same kind of love, where you just want them to succeed. I want people to be better than I am. Otherwise, how would you ever, when ego gets in the way, then you don't allow that to happen. But because if a group of people is better than you ever were, well, then we just moved the bar forward. We just raised. So the fact that you have a 24-year-old who is this well put together, many, many, many steps ahead of where I was at the age of 24. It's fuck yeah, let's invest in this guy and let's prop him up and let's see what he can do.
We did have to give him a timeout a few times on the chapter meetings because,
I get it.
All you have to do is mention, all you have to do is mention vulnerability management, and he goes all crazy.
It gets nuts.
Yeah, I get carried away.
Isn't that your topic for
it lights up. It's like a Christmas tree over there with Dan. It's definitely his thing. So it's nice to see.
We had this thing the last meeting where I was wearing antlers, with bells, and that was that was supposed to mean wrap it up. Like if I shook the bells, it was supposed to mean wrap up your topic. And I was going crazy with Dan, and he just wouldn't listen. There was reindeer all over the place, and he just like, I'm talking about vulnerability management.
Didn't even hear him. Didn't even hear him.
He thought you were having a seizure.
If you're wondering about my camera, my wife's getting clothes, so she didn't want to be on camera. So
Gotcha.
I'm blacking it out for a second here.
Well, then we could.
But now you just told the world.
I did. Yeah.
Tell us more. What's she doing now?
Let's post this to OnlyFans.
Well, not that.
Okay, not yet.
So it's just getting clothes to take the dog for a walk and things like that.
Is she gonna come give you a little kiss on the cheek?
I like dogs.
No, she doesn't want to be on camera.
Well, your camera's off. The least she could do is just a little, maybe a shoulder rub or something.
Nah, she'll probably just push me out of the way.
Wow.
Jordan, I think we've lost this battle, man. I'm just saying. I think she's not gonna turn on the camera. She doesn't want to be on screen.
Nope.
I wish
No.
my wife would come down and give me a little shoulder rub while doing this.
Yeah, no
Let's
shit.
talk
Hey,
about
Marla.
2025. Let's talk about kind of what your goals are for 2025. If everything
Survive.
went exactly how you wanted it, what would the local chapter look like in 2025?
Dan?
I think for 2025 in the Minnesota local chapter, I think it's just continuing on what we're doing with our local chapter, but being able to get more awareness out there to the rest of the CvCISO community and just sharing what we're doing and hopefully encourage other people and empower other people to start doing this in their area, even if it's another local chapter in Minnesota, right? There's a lot of CvCISOs in Minnesota that could then in their area, maybe it's maybe it's way up north or maybe it's way down south in Minnesota.
I want to put a plug in for the Southwestern Minnesota chapter people that want to do that. Just
anybody
Rochester,
in
maybe?
South, there's going to be a camp.
I would love to start working on the next challenge, which would be multiple chapters. How do you keep them connected now? So you got these, because what I think part of what we want to achieve is keeping the groups small and intimate, but connecting them so that you also expand your overall, like resources in group, and so finding ways to have multiple chapters, but then keep those chapters connected and being able to share resources between chapters and,
Right, because the biggest value is the people, right, with the local chapters, and making sure that we are continuing to expand the networking capabilities and everything else, and essentially don't become just an echo chamber, right? If you get eight guys meeting every single month and just repeating the same topics over and over again, which isn't what we've done yet, but again, to Jordan's point of being able to have some of that overlap, being able to meet with somebody from a different chapter and share some ideas and potentially collaborate on certain projects. And so I think doing more of that, being able to collaborate with other people, not necessarily that are even part of the Minnesota local chapter, but just expanding and being able to collaborate on projects together. And again, just kind of the whole fixing the broken industry, right? That's kind of the mission that we have made for the local chapter as well, is just how can we do that? How can we fix the broken industry with a local chapter here in Minnesota? What does that look like? And just expanding some of that.
Well, getting people comfortable with it, right? I think the most difficult, job we have as the local community here in Minnesota is, hey, dude, be comfortable starting another one, right? Sure, you may have like just a couple people show up, but want to do it, right? So if you are traveling a distance or you want to be remote, and we kind of don't have that option to be fully remote into the meeting, all you got to do is start it, right? Put your feet on the ground and say, hey, is there other people that want to meet, right? Find a place. I think encouraging people that it's okay to start something like this, right? With the help of Meg, if she's got to help say, hey, these people are geographically in the same location, start your thing. You can, then we can all meet together, right? And share those ideas Jordan was talking about.
Well, and that's that with that too, is just knowing that if you do step out there and start your own, that you will have help. Like I think there's room then, once, until it exists, there's no need. But once you take the step and start a group, now, we can talk about, we do a monthly pre-meeting call between us to kind of get our bearings for, how did the last meeting go? How do we want this to go? What can we learn? And I think there's room then for whoever's leading the other groups to also have the group leader meeting to talk through how's your group going? What do you need? How can we help you make your chapter the best it can be? Which it doesn't, until someone takes that step, there's no need for that. So someone start a group. That's what I'm saying. Start your freaking group. If you build it, they will come. That's all I'm saying.
Honestly, you don't need a group of 8 people to start one. I'd say, 3, 4 people. If that's all 2, if that's what's in your current area, and I definitely can help with that.
I mean, every single person that comes into a community like this is another perspective.
Yeah.
And it makes us all better.
Well, and I think one other area too that we talk about quite a bit is just making this another aspect, basically continuing education. A lot of certification bodies and everything else, they always have their continuing education and everything else, which might be watching webinars, might be going through study guides, whatever. This, in my opinion, the local chapter is kind of the continuing education for the CvCISO program, and just continuing to keeping a pulse on what is going on in the world today, right? What is everybody else doing in their vCISO roles, and how can I be better? How can we improve each other? And so I think that's the other aspect of that, right? It's kind of the come for the training, stay for the community, I believe is the slogan that we have. And the local chapter is just an extension of the community, and just a way that we can, again, be more authentic, be more intimate, and really just share what everybody's working on and really help build each other.
I'd like to add one more thing to the 2025 list too. I'd like to see the community involvement piece take off. We've got a lot of folks that love kind of talking about ways to get involved, for this chapter to get involved in the local community and helping. There's lots of things to be passionate about, causes, and young people that need help with basic information security, and older folks that need help with that. And to pick something there and see, give it a chance this year, that would be
absolutely.
I'd like to put a plug in a couple things for 2025. And the local community, the local chapter is really helping with this, because when I need support, I need people. Usually the local chapter is the first group that I go to. We are starting with coffee talks in 2025, so the last Thursday of every month. Some of these guys have volunteered to kind of share their knowledge. There'll be a learning aspect of the coffee talk, and then there'll be kind of a social ask questions, just a way for the family reunion to happen versus the family dinner. That'll be monthly throughout 2025. And then we are going to do another local event in Minnesota in May, like we did last year, hoping to beef that up a little bit and make it more of a half day, something that's a little bit more robust than what we did last time. So we can look forward to those 2 things as well. And the local chapter is really helping with that, man.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and knowledge. And
you're beautiful people.
You are.
Well, thank you for having us.
Who was that one guy? That rock star? The beautiful people.
Marilyn
Manson.
Yeah. You guys remind me of Marilyn Manson.
Nice.
Wait, no.
I'll put different contacts in next time.
Yeah, I don't think I said that right, but you get what I'm saying.
He got implants, didn't he?
I think so.
Crazy.
Yeah.
No, you guys are really awesome people. I mean, you couldn't, for a guy whose life is kind of dedicated to this crazy mission, you couldn't ask for a better group of people to join together. in this, because the mission isn't about any one person. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about this community that you guys are building. And I hope and I pray that, it just catches fire.
Yeah.
Because nobody here is in this game specifically for themselves. We're in this game for others. So I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to shout out to all the other guys that show up too. Like it really is a good group of guys. And I think there's a good group. There's a lot of great men and women in the CvCISO community. So I think that this is totally something that can be duplicated. We've got great folks in the whole community. But man, Brian, Brandy, Zach, Josh, I don't want to miss anyone, but all the guys are, even though they're not meeting, doing what the four of us are doing directly, they are actively involved in making the group great. So
Absolutely.
That's super cool. All right, listeners, thank you so much. Another week. Check.
Check. Yeah, have a great weekend, you guys. Thanks for
you
coming
as
on.
well. Thanks for
Thanks for having us.
You bet.
All right. Until next, who shows it next week? Jordan. Hey,
Yeah.
Jordan, one request, brother. Let's just get our shit together, man. All right.
okay. Well, wait, before we go, let me just say, tip: practice gratitude.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That might be the topic next week. Who
Thank
knows?
you.
There you go.
Thank
Group
you.
hug for 2025, everybody.
Yay. Group hug.
I'm grateful for the tip. Thank you. I
You're welcome.
like 4 times right there. Thank you. 5 right there. Yeah. All right.
That
I'm
one
gonna
seems
go-
grateful.